Hey tubers, welcome to the channel, and I hope you're all going okay. This one's just a small update on the F800. So a little bit of a tidy up and a couple of things going on today. As you can see, it's a bit like a hover bike, but that's because we're getting new tyres. So already got the new tyres, gone with the Shinkos, M705s, sorry Shinkos, and hopefully they'll be pretty good. The old tyres, I didn't get a picture of those. They were 7 years old and they were Michelin Tour races and they were really stuffed. But we're doing a couple of other things as well, as usual. So first thing, we're going to clean it up a bit. I think we might do that once we've got the wheels back on. Try and get some of this brake dust off. But the other change I wanted to make was the sprocket. So just looking here, the last time I got a chain and sprocket, came with a 17 at the front and a 42 at the back, which is a bit disappointing. Used to run a 16 on the front, the previous guy, but I think I got a bit confused because I've ordered a 15. So we're going down by about 12-13% in the gearing, and I'll let you know how that goes. So mono should not be a problem, and pulling away from lights, but top end here in Oz, you top out 110, so realistically this bike is well over geared. So the only thing might need to do with that is this chain, being as that's 2 teeth shorter, so that's a tooth on either side, might need to take a couple of links out the chain, so a inner and an outer out of the chain. So I've got some new chain joiners, so we'll be getting on with that. I'm going to get this gear back on pretty quick and then get the wheels on, get everything back okay. The cush drives sitting over there, that's okay, not too rough. The rubbers are a little bit worn on the sides, but overall no cracking, not falling apart, so we'll leave that all alone and see how we get on. So next pick we should have the chain and the wheels back on and be halfway there. Do shout out in the comments if you've got any questions. So just a couple of notes on the front wheel. Not sure how you guys do it, but for me it was easier to just take the calipers off on the caliper bolts. I'm looking at the brake pads separately, so I'll get to that in a second. And with the main shaft, this rusts on the inside at the far end. You've got to take that bolt off. So I'm going to be looking for a cap. Not sure if you guys have found one yet that goes in the end here, just to stop the water going in. And then I put a bit of lithium grease just as that goes through, just to make sure that that's nice and lubricated in both of the bottom ends there. And then on this side, similar, just cleaned up the bush there. And we're going to be pushing this through and getting this through. So I take out all the bolts and I'll be torquing those up after, finding out the torque values. Okay, we've got the back end cleaned up a little bit. Got some new brake pads in there. That's a bit of a drama because you do have to remember to take out the fluid out of the reservoir as you pump those back. The old ones were Brembos. Might try and get a set of those. They look pretty nice for the fronts. But in the meantime, I just got these cheap ones to go on the back. We'll see how we go with those and see how they wear. And we're ready to get the wheel back in. Okay, we'll just get a few things cleaned up there and get that back together. Okay, so we've got the brake pin back in. So in case you don't know, this cotter pin comes out. You push the pin in from the back, sorry, from the front, and it goes out the back, and then you can lift the pads out. So pretty easy to do when the wheel's assembled. Probably would be a wiser choice. And then I've got the bolt back through with the push plate on there, so that's ready to tighten the chain, and we'll get around the other side, get the nut on and get the chain on, then see if we're going to shorten it. Okay, so we've got the rear back together and the axle nut back on, and just looking at that, we're at 2 1/4 or so on the chain tensioner, which is quite surprising. So even though the chain stretched a bit and we've put the 15 on the front there, see the 15? The chain's probably only just over halfway on tension, so I'm not taking this link out today, and I'll see how we go. I don't know where the master link is. It's there somewhere riveted. I did buy 3 new spares, which in hindsight seems a little unnecessary, but I just wanted to be ready in case I was going to grind that chain and re-rivet. So it'll save me a heap of time. I've put the new brake pads in at the back there, but at the front I wasn't so sure about the quality of my new brake pads. Just looking at those, I'll show you what we're talking about. You can see whilst they look okay there, if I put them back to back, you can see that they're actually already bowed, and that just doesn't look great. So I'm going to have a think about that. Maybe put those in another day and see how we go. Otherwise, I'll just get these torques, get that torqued back up, and just record the kilometers. So that was maybe the original brake pads. I'm not so sure, but we're currently looking at, once it's done its thing, it's on the trip. So 38,000 kilometers currently. Okay, we'll get that back together and see how we go. Okay, and we're all done and ready for a wash. So the back end's all tightened up, 100 Newton meters on the main nut. Got these tightened down. I did leave these loose once before, which is not a good idea. So just make sure you do tighten your tensioners. Set the chain to around 40 millimeters. It's under tension. You got to make sure you've got the top side under good tension before you check the bottom. Got the front end done up tight. Just wanted to show you, I found this nut. I didn't have a thread for, a bolt for it unfortunately, but I just managed to use the spanner on there just to loosen that. Not sure if anybody can tell me if you need to use that, because if you're on the other side and you just undo the nut, tap it through, this will start to come through and you can just put your finger in there. But as mentioned, we'll try and find a plug for that to see if we can plug it up. Tightened up the brake calipers, left the old front pads in. Just having a think about Brembo pads instead of those aftermarket ones. Same on this side. Got the axle nut tightened up and the front bolts there. They're all tightened up. And then on the back, same again, just got this tightened up on the axle. Just got a slight gap there on that axle bolt. That should be okay. Might wiggle down under torque, and the new pads in the back there, so we'll see how we go. Okay, so just got to scrub these tyres off before I fall off, and as mentioned, we'll just give it a little rinse off because it is pretty dirty. But other than that, thanks for watching and let me know how you go with your F800. Okay, don't forget to subscribe.